Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a buffed Mega Pokemon that is now an absolute force of nature in the Mega Master League, and that is Mega Garchomp. Now, Garchomp was already a very strong pick for the Mega Master League, but with the Earth Power buff this season, it got substantially stronger. Earth Power is a legacy move on Garchomp that now only costs 50 energy. Garchomp already has a huge attack stat, so it already had awesome damage, but now it has significantly faster pacing. I paired it up with Zacian and Xerneas and went on a 9-1 run live on stream up to 2696 ELO. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1 we pick up a pretty neutral lead Mega Garchomp into Gyarados. In this matchup, I like to bank energy and then pivot out into the Zacian. My Zacian is going to be answered with a Metagross, and this is a very important bait out. Metagross would destroy my Xerneas in the back, so the trap has been set, Metagross has been baited out, I can tank what can only be a Meteor Mash, and now farm up to the back-to-back close combats. One close combat will not take the knockout, but a second absolutely will. That Metagross is now critically low, and my opponent has to decide, are they willing to concede this energy? They are not. They're going to try and go for a farm down, but I can pivot back into the Garchomp, and now, unless they want to lose their energy once again, they're going to have to give me their final shield. So now my opponent is down 2 shields to 0. I decide that I will end up putting up the shield because I still have a very healthy Garchomp. My opponent pivots back, and in comes Gyarados. Crunch, Aqua Tail, neither one's going to be doing a ton of damage. Mega Garchomp does have some very nice stats. My opponent will try and CMP time me, but instead, I'm more than happy just to take the free Mud Shot. Now, I can look to farm up and send in Xerneas. I didn't really want to throw the energy there because it only would have fit for neutral damage, but I can take advantage of the desync of the timers, and Xerneas is going to do very well. They fire off Aqua Tail, they go for Aqua Tail number 2, and I believe that was on a charge attack priority tie. My Xerneas is now going to be very low, but with the energy I have stored on the Garchomp, I'm hoping that it's going to be a Zacian in the back, and I can just one-shot them with Earth Power. There it is. In the back is Zacian. My opponent catches the close combat, but this is not the charge attack they needed to catch. Close combat wouldn't have done a lot. The Earth Power would have absolutely destroyed them. Now they have no catches. I can send in the Garchomp, go for the Earth Power. Zacian gets destroyed, and that's going to be a Game 1 win. We move to game number 2, picking up a pretty neutral lead, Mega Garchomp into Primal Kyogre. Garchomp is able to win the 2s into Kyogre. To win the 2s, you are required to land 1 Twister and 1 Earth Power. I'm going to farm up a ton of energy, go for the Twister. My opponent does end up no-shielding. I'm 1 away from the Earth Power, and my opponent actually does end up under-tapping. That works out pretty nicely for me. I shield up the Avalanche, they pivot into Dialga, and Dialga is not a safe switch, as I have a very hard check to it, as in comes Zacian. Ironhead missing the 2-hit KO on Zacian is what makes this matchup so convincing. They can fire off Ironheads before I can get the double up on close combat, but I can always survive it. My goal is to take the knockout with Dialga and exit with the close combat loaded to inflict some pretty monster damage onto the Kyogre as they send it back in. I'm a little bit worried that at -2 defense, I will not survive the waterfall, so I just end up under-tapping the close combat to guarantee that I get this damage. Close combat connects, it turns out I did survive it. I pivot back into the Garchomp and I fire off Twister. They now have an Avalanche, but they're going to have to shield if they want this energy. I'm a little bit worried it's going to be Zacian in the back, and if it's Zacian, I need the Garchomp to have a chance to win the game. In comes Zacian, this is going to be very tough, and the game comes down to this, a diabolical Twister bait. I fire off the Twister, Zacian puts up the shield, I make it to the Earth Power, and win charge attack priority. This is super effective damage, Zacian gets 1 shot, back in comes Kyogre, we get the Mud Shot down, and Garchomp is just an absolute force of nature in this meta. We pick up a great lead in the next match, leading Mega Garchomp into Mega Tyranitar. I farm up to the Earth Power, bait with the Twister. My opponent can never really afford to no-shield here because Earth Power is just such a hard-hitting attack. I overfarm, and I'm actually able to get a brutal swing catch onto Zacian. I'm up a shield. My opponent's now going to be sending in Lunala, and this works out very nicely for me. With a little bit of chip damage that I took from catching that brutal swing, my opponent should be able to Shadow Claw me into Shadow Ball range, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to basically set up the Garchomp for a massive Mudshot farm down. Mudshot is known for its energy generation, it's not known for its damage, and that means as long as I give up a shield, I should be able to get a huge energy head start. Lunala fires off Shadow Ball, I put up the shield, and they're going to pivot back and send in Tyranitar. I baited once, I'm not going to bait twice, I fire off the Earth Power, they will put up the shield, I try and make it to Earth Power number 3, but they are going to outpace. If it's something like a Zacian in the back, then I am going to want to have the Garchomp alive, so I'm going to be shielding back, under-tapping the Earth Power, and that is going to be the end of Tyranitar. My opponent is waiting down their timer, so clearly they're going to try and go for a catch when they bring in whatever their third is. It's going to be a Dawn Wings Necrozma. I'm going to farm up, wait the turn. They go for that catch. We don't let it happen. And now I get to land the Earth Power. Maybe the ideal play would have been to go for the double twister, but the good news for me is that Xerneas should survive a Moongeist. Moongeist does so much of Xerneas' HP bar, but it does not one-shot from full. So Moongeist lands, Xerneas survives, I can make it to the close combat, and my opponent is going to resign the match. We see a very cool lead from our opponent in the next match, leading Garchomp into Mega Mewtwo Y. Mega Mewtwo Y will typically not be running its new fast move of Counter, but instead, Psycho Cut plus Psystrike. This means every 10 turns, it's able to inflict horrifying amounts of neutral damage onto Garchomp. I shield the first, get the shield back with the Twister, Garchomp will be able to outpace. Twister is not going to come close to taking the knockout, and my opponent knows it. There's going to be no shielding. I'm going to look to try and go for a Psystrike catch. I don't get the catch. Was my opponent able to react in time? Is this the Shadow Ball? Yes, it is. That damage is monstrous. Mega Mewtwo Y is an incredibly spammy Pokemon. They're already at a Psystrike. I decide to just fully sacrifice the Zacian and bring in the Garchomp. My opponent pivots out, they send in Xerneas, but a Xerneas down energy is not an answer to Garchomp. Earth Power connects, devastating damage, and a debuff. The debuff won't even matter as I'm able to make it to Earth Power number 2. They're just going to get knocked out before they threw a single charge attack on that Xerneas. The Mewtwo still does have energy, but the Mewtwo has taken quite a lot of damage throughout the course of this game. My opponent sends out Dialga, and I'm going to unleash Twister. Twister will hit for some pretty big neutral damage here. Twister will be shielded, and now I can send in Xerneas. Up a shield, I should be in a strictly winning position. While the Mewtwo has energy, it does not have a charge attack loaded. Iron Head lands, I can overfarm by 1, go for the close combat, my opponent catches, but honestly, getting the Mewtwo out of the way guarantees me the win. Now I still have a Xerneas with a shield, and I can easily make it to the close combat. Dialga would need 2 more Iron Heads, and it's just never going to get there, so even despite seeing the new Mewtwo Y, we're still getting the win. We see a pretty neutral lead in the next match, leading Garchomp into Lunala. Lunala has incredible coverage and pacing, and I decide that I'm just going to go straight for the Earth Power. I know this won't one-shot, but Earth Power will inflict huge amounts of neutral damage onto Lunala. I do have to respect the Moonblast. That would hit for big super effective damage. My opponent full sends the Moonblast, and now I can overfarm quite significantly with the Garchomp. If they shield, I'm going to try for a Moonblast catch onto my Zacian, but they end up no shielding and letting themselves get KO'd. My opponent now sends in Mega Rayquaza, but this is where the bulk of Mega Garchomp is going to be very good. I fire off Twister, they put up the shield, they're going to try for the farm down, but look at Garchomp go! Garchomp able to make it to a second Twister. That's going to pressure away both shields, and now I can pivot in Zacian, and Zacian is at a shield advantage. I'm not going to be at a shield advantage for long, however, Rayquaza's at the back-to-back Dragon Ascent, and Dragon Ascent is able to pick up the 2-hit KO here. So, I tank the first, shield the second, and my opponent's going to pivot out and send in their own Zacian. Their Zacian does not have Best Buddy Boost equipped. I almost always run Best Buddy Boost active on Zacian in Mega Masters, and here, it ends up winning me the game as my opponent overfarms too much and they risk a CMP tie that they cannot win because my Zacian is level 51 and theirs is level 50. But even if they threw earlier, the game was still sealed because 5 Dragon Tails plus a Dragon Ascent do not KO Xerneas. It does come close, but Xerneas is able to hang on and make the Moonblast to secure the win. Mega Rayquaza is such a terrifying Pokemon. Even with 2 fairy types in the back, it still was almost enough to get my opponent the win. That Pokemon is just an absolute terror to deal with. We see a pretty familiar lead in the next match, Garchomp into Gyarados. Same game plan as before for me. I want to bank in Earth Power and then send in the Zacian. They're going to fire off energy first. I tank the Aqua Tail, and we get Zacian on the field. Out comes Metagross, and this could be a little bit tricky. I overfarm, hoping they're going to Meteor Mash, but they don't. Instead, they're going to overfarm and build up to Earthquake. I fire off Close Combat. Close Combat hits for big damage. Maybe there's a chance that I can double shield and try and go for a resistant Metal Claw down. Metagross does have some pretty nice stats. I'm going to try for it, but as I see the Metal Claws land, I realize there's just never a chance I'm ever going to get this farm down. So I bank energy, send in the Chomp, and I'm able to snipe down with Mud Shots. In comes Gyarados. I have so much energy stored on this Garchomp. Twister does big damage, but will miss the 2-hit KO. So instead, I'm going to full send Earth Power. Earth Power is guaranteed to take the knockout. My opponent will put up the shield. And the reason why I saved the Zacian is because I'm expecting my opponent's final Pokemon is going to be their own Zacian. So I desync the timers, I saved Zacian with a ton of energy, and once the timer hits 0, I send in Xerneas. There's the switch. There's the Zacian. We made the hard read, and that's going to win us the game. Because now my switch timer's up, I can bring my Zacian into theirs, I have so much energy, and I'm able to make back-to-back Behemoth Blades. The first gets the shield, the second deals devastating damage. They're going to be able to knock me out here with the close combat, but I can always secure the win now with Xerneas. I get to send in the Xerneas. I realize my opponent maybe could have made a move there, so I'm just going to fire off the close combat. This will leave me at -2 defense, but I'm still outside of range for an Aqua Tail to KO, even with my defense having been lowered. They landed the Aqua Tail, I'm able to tank it no problem, and despite a very scary mid-game, we made the read that Gyarados is often paired with Zacian, we saved our Zacian with a ton of energy, and we're still able to get the win. We move to the next match, leading Garchomp into Primal Kyogre, and the fact that Primal Kyogre is absolutely everywhere in the Mega Master League is another reason why I think Garchomp is now the premier ground type. I've loved Groudon. I've run Groudon many Mega Master Leagues in a row, but unfortunately, Groudon gets absolutely obliterated by Kyogre, whereas Garchomp, as a ground type that doesn't have a water weakness, actually has a significantly more playable matchup. Here, I'm able to get a Twister Shield, land an Earth Power, and then catch an Avalanche onto my Zacian. So this Kyogre matchup going a lot better than the last. My opponent rebanks a ton of energy. They send in Duskmane to Crozma, but I'm able to get the double up on close combat, which means they're either losing their Duskmane energy or they have to give me their final shield. Are they really willing to go down 2 shields to 0? No, they are not. They're getting KO'd, and in comes Primal Kyogre. I decide they're probably going to go for a blind Avalanche, so I bring in the Xerneas, and I'm going to be clicking no shield, trusting in the read. Did they go for the Origin? No, they did not. They went for the Avalanche. I tanked one, I have to shield the second. Primal Kyogre's damage output is ridiculous. I pivot into Garchomp as they send in Zacian, and I have the health, I have the energy advantage, and there's just no way out for the Zacian. Zacian puts up the shield, they have to try and farm down, but it's just never gonna happen. This new pacing on Garchomp is just simply too good. They go for the close combat. Even if they were at full defense, we've already seen it before, the Earth Power still would have taken the knockout. Earth Power clears Zacian from the field. Kyogre will get the farm down, but 1 Geomancy from Xerneas, oh, I stand corrected, 2 Geomancies from Xerneas will be enough to get the win. Great lead in the next match, Garchomp into Zacian. Zacian not pivoting out, which is even better. Usually Zacian will have dragons in the back. I'm assuming it's probably going to be something like Palkia plus Gyarados. I fire off Earth Power, the bait feels way too risky. They shield, and I'm more than happy to shield back as they have built up to Behemoth Blade. They do full send, my opponent safe switches into Mega Mewtwo X, and I'm going to send in Xerneas. These Geomancies are chunking. We do have a resistance to counter. I'm going to be no shielding as they go for the Side Strike, and I get absolutely destroyed. What is that? Mega Mewtwo X is a monster. Oh my goodness. I bring back in the Garchomp, but I'm in absolute shambles. I lost my entire Xerneas. I wasn't even able to make a Moonblast. And here, I make a truly terrible Twister bait. I should have full sent the Earth Power to guarantee the knockout. Now I'm going to have to try and farm down. It's a simul switch, my Zacian into theirs. And at this point, I have just definitely lost this game. Oh my goodness. I should have gone for the close combat on the Xerneas, but I thought there was no way I was going to get countered down. Mega Mewtwo X is disgusting. Oh my word. Close combat knocks them out, but they can just bring back in the Mewtwo. I'm going to try and farm down with the Garchomp. I do get the farm down. I need it to be something I can one-shot in the back. It's Palkia, but sadly, even though Twister will hit for horrifying amounts of damage, it does not one-shot, and we just got completely destroyed by Mega Mewtwo X. Hopping into the final match, this is actually a rematch against the same Tyranitar player from earlier. I ended up queuing them twice over the course of 2 sets. They're going to strike first here as they go for the Brutal Swing. And this time, I decide to go for the bait. I'm going to bait with the Twister, get shield advantage, and then look to get Zacian on the field. Because my recollection is they have 2 bats in the back. They have Lunala and the Dawnwings Necrozma. This time, I don't have any chip damage on the Zacian, so I get to fire off Behemoth Blade. Lunala no shields, but they are going to pay a pretty significant price. Because I have not taken that Brutal Swing damage quite yet, that means that I will be able to take a Shadow Ball. My opponent's not going to be able to farm down, they're going to be forced to fire off energy, and I decide that I will actually invest the shield in the Zacian. Because my opponent can never farm down with the Tyranitar, they're going to be forced to bring in the Dawnwings, and I want damage on the Dawnwings or to pressure their final shield. Behemoth Blade is going to land, I pivot into Xerneas, they pivot into the Tyranitar, and that is a very good simul switch for me. I know Stone Edge will not one-shot, so I'm not going to be putting up the shield. but my goodness, does it hurt. I reach for the back-to-back close combats. I get outpaced. The speed of Tyranitar is just absolutely terrifying. And here, I make a very important decision. I throw one extra Geomancy and go for the close combat. At 100 energy, I can throw the close combat, be 1 off the Moonblast, and now I can pivot back into the Garchomp. I should be 3 off the Twister because I baited earlier. I can bring in the Garchomp, go for the Twister, and my opponent's going to resign the match as I fire off the Twister. Twister takes the KO, and that's a good game. All in all, I think Mega Garchomp is a top tier Mega for this Mega Master League week. Part of the reason why Mega Garchomp is so incredibly powerful is due to the fact that the most used Pokemon in the format are actually not Megas or Primals. They're actually Palkia and Zacian. Palkia and Zacian, kind of regardless of what Mega you're using, are usually the backbone of the supporting cast. And both of them happen to get absolutely destroyed by Garchomp energy. So not only does Garchomp match up pretty well into a lot of the Megas, like we saw it do pretty well into Kyogre, it did pretty well into Gyarados, but it also is able to destroy so many of those supporting cast members, like the Zacians, the Palkias, the Metagrosses of the world. And I was almost always able to save energy on that Garchomp and have that energy be game winning. With the exception of that Mega Mewtwo game where I made entirely too many errors, I was just in absolute shock at the fact that only a few counters plus a side strike was able to pick up the KO. Man, I can't wait to get Mega Mewtwo X. That Pokemon is just an absolute nightmare. This team, I went 9-1 on stream. So I went 5-0. I think I gained 41 ELO and then went 4-1 for +6 up to 2696. So we're basically stretching the upper bounds of where we can find queues. I believe it was 2 hours to play these 2 sets. So unfortunately, it's probably unlikely we're going to get a lot of Mega Master League gameplay from me for the rest of the week, unless I end up tanking quite a bit, because the queue times are really, really tough, but I have really been enjoying it. I feel like this iteration of the Mega Master League has been a very fun one. Most usually are, but I've been able to play it quite a bit. There's a lot of different Megas that are very viable, and I was quite worried that for those who did not have the Mega Mewtwo, they would be at a big competitive disadvantage. The good news is it does look like you can still put together some very nice wins even without the Mewtwo's. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching today's video, please do help support the channel by leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide to the channel is so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.